Hello everyone, welcome to Full Moon Movies. Alexander Revisited, the final cut emerges nearly 2 decades after Oliver Stone's original vision. Now this time it's restored, restructured and expanded in a collector's edition from Shout Factory. Released in 2025, this version stands as a definitive presentation of Stone's epic, clocking in at 3 hours and 34 minutes and offering the director's most complete cut yet. It's chronological, reflective, and grand in scale. Colin Farrell returns as Alexander not just as a warrior or tactician, but as a figure caught between myth and identity. Angela Jolie's Olympias, slithering with political venom, looms over his life like a prophecy. Val Kilmer's Philip is a fractured patriarch, strong yet crumbling. Jared Leto's Hephaestion burns with loyalty that edges into romantic tragedy, and Anthony Hopkins as the aged Ptolemy frames the story as both legacy and lament. As we go in detail about the characters and their development, it's clear this extended version finally allows them the space they need to breathe, to contradict themselves, to suffer, to scheme, and to grieve. The battle scenes remain some of the most visually dense of an epic of its kind. Stone enhances them with captions, left flank, center right, which helps us follow Alexander's brilliance on the field, particularly at Gaugamela. The production spans deserts, temples, palaces, and mountain passes with a scope that is rarely attempted anymore. The cinematography captures not just war, but the aftermath, blood mixing with dust, glory crumbling into doubt. And the music from Vangelis carries you with ambient dread and celestial ambition, binding the conquest and mourning into the breath. But as the film expands in runtime, it also invites more scrutiny. This isn't a film without its critics, and that criticism doesn't come from structure alone. While Alexander Revisited delves into psychological insights, there remain a heavy emphasis of framing him as through the lens of a greatness, a Western projection of the liberator warrior. It shows how he unifies cultures, but it rarely interrogates what it means to unify through domination. As we observe the narrative's ideological undercurrent, there's a lingering sense of naivety in Alexander's motivations. He speaks of freeing people, of spreading civilization, but we don't see meaningful resistance to those ideas. The film rarely places a character in front of him to challenge his illusion. No one ever truly questions whether the people he liberated wanted his presence at all. Nowhere is this more glaring than the Indian campaign. The film sidesteps one of the most debated moments in his legacy, his confrontation with King Porus. It avoids depicting any kind of defeat or pushback from the Indian side. Historically, the evidence is fragmented, and yet across cultures, there are oral traditions and regional accounts suggesting that Alexander's march east was not just triumphant, but met with powerful opposition. This absence in the film makes the narrative feel uneven, as if Stone is more comfortable elevating Alexander's vision than exploring his limitations. Still, the emotional depth in the final cut makes up for some of this. The pacing is thoughtful, and the intermission helps to break the film into two acts, allowing reflection between the rise and unraveling of the man. When viewed through that structure, Alexander doesn't come across as a triumphant so much as haunted. He dies young, alone, and unsure whether he's left behind an empire or is just an illusion. Now let's talk about the 4K presentation. Now, in this movie, it really elevates by Shout Factory's 2025 restoration, which is a thing of beauty, preserved grain, rich tones, and deep black levels that gives this film a mystic texture. The Dolby Vision HDR brings out the golds of Babylon, the crimson of battlefields, and the pale glow of Alexander's final breath. And with Dolby Atmos included on both the 4K and Blu-ray discs, every moment is sonically immersive, from the shouts of war camps to the wind howling across the Hindu Kush. As we explore the special features, this release truly satisfies. The 4K disc houses the feature film, the full Atmos experience, and two commentaries, one with Stone himself and a new one by critic Matt Zoller Sitz, who reflects the legacy of this film and its shifting identity across versions. The second disc is Where the Supplements Live, a new interview with Oliver Stone reflecting on his obsession with Alexander over 2 decades, a conversation with editor Alex Marquez on the film's difficult structure, and insights from visual effects supervisor John Shelley on crafting ancient cities and battlefield geometry in the pre-MCU digital era. Returning features, for example, include The Fight Against Time, the original documentary chronicling the film's early struggles, Resurrecting Alexander, Perfect is the Enemy of Good, Vangelis scores Alexander, and a stills gallery with theatrical trailers. Shot Factory's packaging is elegant and simple. It doesn't come loaded with gimmicks, but it's lets the film and its extras speak, and they do. In conclusion, Alexander Revisited, the final cut, is a flawed epic, yes, but also an earnest, deeply personal attempt to understand what kind of man tries to conquer the known world. Whether you see Alexander as visionary tyrant or tragic dreamer, this version lets you walk beside him longer than ever before, and in that long march, you might find answers or more illusions. Now, this movie is a must watch.